Welcome to Feedback Friday. In this video, we've got a triathlete called Tobias, and Tobias can hold a 135 for his all-day pace, and he can swim around 120 pace when he's going for it. So let's take a look at some footage of him swimming here. And there's a couple of things I've already noticed watching through this video. And in general, Tobias is doing a couple of things really well. He does get quite a nice catch position with both arms. There's a good sort of smoothness and rhythm to the stroke, which I think is great. But there's one thing that really stands out to me. When I watch through here, there's quite a big disconnect from what his arms are doing to the lower half of his body. And we can see that a bit in terms of the body position. You'll notice that there's quite a drop through the hips and the legs, and the legs are just kind of sitting out there. They're not doing much to assist him in the stroke. Not that he's got to be kicking hard, but we want to make sure that the legs are working well and helping support the front end of the stroke. So the first thing that I would suggest here for Tobias would be with the legs and with the hips, I would be looking to just hold the legs up a bit higher. They're just dragging out behind him, and he's not lifting them up enough. So we need a little bit of tension through the glutes and the hamstrings in some of the leg movements. We've got to help draw that up. So where he sort of finishes there is too low. It's below his body line, which is increasing his drag. So if he can have that leg movement be more up there, so his heel would be breaking the surface, so drawing things up, having that tension through the glutes and the hamstrings a bit more, that will just sit him in a much better position. Now, I also think that he probably needs to rotate his hips just a little bit more. Shoulder rotation looks good, but the hips just look a little bit too flat. So he might just need to connect everything through the midsection here. If he can brace his core, and the core's not like your abs here, your core goes all the way around. And if he can switch that on by feeling like he was almost bracing, if someone was going to hit him lightly in the stomach, he'd brace through there. We want that little bit of bracing or stability through the core and through here. And that should help connect the top half and the lower half just a little bit there. So that'd be the first thing. Just we want to bring the hips and the legs up and make sure things are connected a bit more. So a little bit more rotation through the hips would certainly help a lot with that. Now, the other thing that I noticed was the back half of the stroke and the timing of it. So when we go ahead to some of these other angles, particularly this overhead view, you'll see that particularly when he takes a breath, there's nothing in front of his head at that point. So this left arm has pulled through too soon so that there's nothing in front of him for that point in time. Now, good freestyles typically swim as front quadrant freestyle, meaning if we split the body into 4 quarters, there should always be something in front of the head. Now, if there's not, it usually means that the arm that's in the water, which would be his left one here, usually that's pulled through a little bit too soon. And that just means the timing of the stroke is off, so things aren't going to connect as well. And I think that's what we're seeing here. And it's all right on the non-breathing strokes, timing's all right, but certainly when he takes a breath, that's when he pulls through or that lead arm drops. So what I'd suggest there is when he takes a breath, keep that arm reaching forwards for a bit longer. Make sure you don't roll too far with the shoulders, and just be mindful of where you're looking. He may be looking up a little bit too high, so he might just need to look to the side a little bit more there. Now, the other thing that really stood out to me here was the back half of his pull. The front end looks generally pretty good, because we can see from this here, he enters nicely, fingers first, extending forwards quite well. And we get this good position of fingers below wrist, wrist below elbow. Good position to start your catch in. Now from here, we want to see the fingers point down, the elbows start to bend. And I might just go to a non-breathing strokes to have a look at that. So we can see there, okay, not bad. We're getting that little bit of elbow bend, fingers pointing down. So that in itself is quite good. Similar thing on his right side here. Quite a good catch. So he's got this big paddle he's working with, which he can then use to press back to help him move forwards. But the thing that really stands out to me is what happens from here through to here. He's really pulling the arm back to the hip. He's not anchoring and holding and moving past that point. And I'll link to a video above where you can look more into this. But you might notice that once he has got his catch, he's then pulling through very quickly to the hip and not holding and anchoring. So he's slipping quite a bit at that point. So what I'd recommend to him is, once you're here, feel like you're holding firm with this arm and the shoulder, and you're just pressing on the water. You're not pulling the arm back, you're just pressing, and then shifting your weight from the right-hand side here onto the other side as you go through there. Now, at the moment, I think he's kind of pulling back with the arm and trying to rush it rather than anchor and hold and shift that weight to the other side. And then when he finishes, because he's sort of rushed that last part, then he's stuck drawing that arm out of the water. If you zoom in here, you can see how he finishes under the body and then is drawing that elbow or the arm like forwards in the water. You got to press back, exit, clear the water on the way back, and then come out and over. Let's have a look at another angle here. Yeah, here we go. So that's where he's getting stuck, pushing back, and then see how that arm's just kind of getting drawn forwards. All right, so he's got to clear the water on the way back there. All right, so that would be the next thing. And one drill that we do quite a bit of is power pulls, where you skull in front, pull through to the hips and accelerate through, and then come back under the body. That'd be one to do for him to help work on that connection with the body. So rather than just pulling it back, holding and anchoring and driving forwards. And that's one of the things, it's not tricky to develop, but it takes some time. But it's the thing that the really good swimmers do well. And it's obvious when they do it well. So they would be the main couple of things I can see here for Tobias. But even if he can just get his hips up and his legs up, that in itself would be 5 seconds, maybe more, maybe 8 seconds per 100. Because yeah, right now that's just slowing him down quite a bit there. Now the one other thing I was just noticing here as well is the breath timing. He's actually turning his head a little bit too soon to breathe. So you can see here, actually let's get the next one because this was even earlier. So the breath timing's just out slightly. What we want to try and do is turn the head with the shoulders. So just time it with that. So as your shoulders are turn the head, then bring the head back down with that shoulder roll. You'll see he's already begun turning his head here, but the shoulders are neutral. So he started to turn too early, and as we continue on through here, the head's already off to the side, mouth's out of the water already, but it's a bit before he's actually fully turned the shoulders. So he's turning the head too soon to get the breath. Now, if you turn the head too soon when you get the breath, it just means that you're kind of in a compromised position here, so you're not quite able to anchor quite as well. So what I'd encourage him to do is just delay that turn of the head. Ideally, you should start to turn your head from about here. So when your hand's under your shoulder, turn the head with the arm, then you want to bring it back around with it. He's just going before it, and he's losing some of that connection in the stroke. So that would be the other thing I'd look to do there. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to work on your own stroke, you can join the Effortless Swimming membership where people send in their videos of them swimming and I give them feedback each month. I'll put the link below for the Effortless Swimming membership where you can do that. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, hit subscribe. And we are looking to get to 400,000 subscribers in the next 6 months. So it'd be great if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you next week.